Welcome into Locked On Phillies. The Phils dropped both games in Texas against the Rangers, and frankly, there are two main guys that need to step it up: JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos. We'll break down why and also preview a series with the Padres upcoming on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking baseball for years on 97.5 The Fanatic, collegiate baseball player, semi-pro pitcher, and I'm happy to be your host of Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by Sports Card Investor. Hey, Phillies fans, you're going to love this. Sports Card Investor app. It's awesome. It welcomes you to the world of trading cards reimagined. Stay tuned later in the show for more information on this awesome new tool for collectors. You're going to want to check out the Sports Card Investor app. It's more fun to check out than the Phillies have been to check out the last couple days. The Phils had dropped their third straight game. After losing the series ender to the Washington Nationals, they dropped both games to the Texas Rangers. And frankly, not even games worth really overly reviewing on the podcast because the issues are pretty clear why the Phillies lost those games. Now, the first one, you face Martin Perez, who is a guy who's going to garner American League Cy Young votes if he continues to pitch the way that he is. The Rangers, they don't have all that many bright spots in the season that would make them competitive in the AL Central. What they do have, though, is a great ace arm in Martin Perez, and he looked like that in game one of this series against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies getting shut out in that opening game, losing 7-0, and it wasn't a great game for the Phillies. They didn't get enough from the bullpen. They got a solid start by Kyle Gibson, but the back-to-back home runs that he gave up in the fifth inning put the Phillies too far behind the eight ball. They lose that game. But the bullpen was rough. The offense was even rougher. And in the second game of the series, facing against John Gray, well, you have Zach Wheeler going, but when you only give Zach Wheeler 2 runs of support, it's hard for him to win games, even against bad teams. Like, you need to still get run support. Your offense cannot sleepwalk through games just because Zach Wheeler is pitching. That's what it seemed like the Philadelphia Phillies did down in Texas. John Gray's a nice pitcher. He's not a pitcher that should hold this Philadelphia Phillies lineup to 2 runs, combined with him and the bullpen. Now, the Rangers bullpen has been incredible against the Phillies, and the Phillies bullpen has been awful against the Rangers. That certainly plays into it, but that's kind of the story of every matchup for the Phillies with the bullpen, the way that it is. I'm focusing on JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos after this because they're the two guys that are giving you the most trouble at the plate that you expected more from. And we're going to break down each of them and talk about what I think their issues are at the plate and what they need to get right. I'm not a hitting coach at the major league level, but I pitched at the collegiate level. I pitched semi-pro. I'm not a major league pitcher by any stretch of the imagination. But I spent years and years and years studying hitters and how to get them out, especially for me, who doesn't have plus stuff, who threw like 80, 81, 82 miles an hour at my peak and had to rely on off speed and had to rely on my best pitches came from up here. They didn't come from my right arm. They came from my mind and figuring hitters out and everything like that. So I know a little bit about this. I don't want to claim to be an expert at all, but I do know, like, this is stuff I grew up on. So I'll talk you through from my perspective what I think their issues might be. Starting with JT Realmuto. And his is interesting because he's had some trouble in the field as well. His seems to be more of a mental issue than Nick Castellanos's. And I'll explain that when we get to Castellanos' issues. But with JT, his seems to be more up top. Is it the contract? Because since he was given that contract to be, well, one of the higher paid catchers in baseball by the Philadelphia Phillies when they re-signed him, and we all, let's not pretend like we didn't want JT to be re-signed. Pretty much every Phillies fan out there, Phillies analyst out there wanted JT Realmuto to get re-signed. There was the whole re-sign JT movement. Bryce Harper was a fan of it. The Phillies organization ended up doing it. That's not the issue here. But there's pressure that comes with that money. And there's also pressure that comes with slumping. Like when you are getting that amount of money and then you have a down stretch, for some players, it weighs on them. JT, it just seems like he's not having proper approaches at the plate. Like mentally, it seems like he's beat before he gets up there. We're talking about grounding into double plays with the bases loaded. We're talking about striking out with the bases loaded and no outs. Situations like that. It just, and I'm not trying to simplify this. It is hard to get hits at the major league level. It is hard even to get sacrifice flies, or people like want to make it seem so easy. Oh, well, you got runners on second and third with less than 2 outs. Hit a ground ball to the right side to the middle of the field, and you're going to go ahead and scratch a run across. Or hit a fly ball to the outfield, and you're going to get a run across. Why don't they just do that? Well, they're trying to. They're not trying to get out. But I feel too often that JT, because he slumped early in the year, now at this point in the season, when he gets those opportunities with runners in scoring position, he is not looking to have the calm, even-keeled approach at the plate. He's looking to drive the baseball into the gaps, which, yeah, would that be nice? Absolutely, if he could do it. But he needs to try and do less at the plate than what it seems like he's trying to do in big situations. He comes up and rather than trying to just, I don't know, hit a lazy fly ball to right field or left field or center field to score a runner from third, he's trying to drive the ball in the gaps. He's getting on top of the baseball, and it's leading to him grounding out to second or short, back-breaking double plays, and it's costing the Phillies a chance to score. That's my issue with JT. I just think he needs to mentally, when he approaches things at the plate, look at the easiest possible solution where it will be positive for your team. Don't try and do too much. Doesn't matter how it reflects on you. Help the team out, and by having good team at-bats, you'll open up the door for better individual at-bats. That's my personal approach that I would take if I was JT Realmuto right now. Now, Nick Castellanos is a totally different beast. He's the guy that approach really isn't a factor for him because he's never going to change it. If you followed Nick Castellanos at all in his career, you know he's one of the more aggressive swingers in all of Major League Baseball. He'll attack any pitch. He hasn't met a pitch he doesn't like, and that's part of his strength and part of his weakness. We talk about ambushing in baseball. An ambush pitcher is a guy he attacks the strike zone early. He tries to beat hitters early so the back end of at-bats are easier. Attack them before they realize they're even being attacked. Before they know it, you're in the box, and the first 2 pitches were 98 at the knees, strike, breaking ball, outside corner, strike. You're down 0-2, and there's little you can do. Well, Nick Castellanos is the prototypical ambush hitter. There's no get-me-over pitches with Nick Castellanos. You can't just plate a fastball on 0-0 on your first pitch to Castellanos and expect him to sit there taking one to see a pitch. He does not do that. But what it means is now people have changed their approach, and pitchers will throw breaking balls that don't come near the plate. He had one yesterday in yesterday's game where it was about like a 56-foot breaker, meaning it came up about 4 feet short of the plate, it looked like, and he's swinging anyway because he's so aggressive, he makes his decision to swing. Now, is that an issue for Nick Castellanos? Yes, but he's not going to change it. The approach is part of what made him a great hitter last year for the Reds and has made him a really good hitter throughout his career. It's part of why he's struggling now. So what's the effects of changing something, not the approach? Because you know he's not going to change the approach. What effect can you have if you're not going to change that mindset? Well, the only thing you can do then is you can shorten the swing. And what that means is he takes a little bit less of the power out of the bat, but maybe it's choke up. Maybe it's get up on the plate more so that your hands have to be quicker through the zone. Maybe it's back in the box more so that you have a little bit less time, not less time to swing, more time to recognize the pitch. And then you need less time to go ahead and make that swing. And it's funny, they talked about it, Rob Thompson mentioned it, about letting the ball get deep. That's something big that I think Nick Castellanos needs to do. Can he swing early and often? Sure, but if you're going to swing at that many pitches, let the ball get as deep in the zone as you can let it before you decide to swing, and that way you can be aggressive, but more selectively aggressive. I think that's the approach that he needs to change, if that's me. But, man, these two guys look easy to get out right now if you're an opposing pitcher. And that's the biggest issue that's solvable, I think, for the Philadelphia Phillies right now. They're going to have to hit through it, and hopefully it'll turn into more wins. But it was a bad series in Texas against the Rangers, a 2-game sweep in favor of those Texas Rangers, and now a tough couple of games up in San Diego. up. I guess technically it's north of where they were in Texas, but a couple of games west out there in San Diego. We'll talk about the series with the San Diego Padres, a 4-game set, coming up next on Locked On Phillies. All right, so I told you about it in our title sponsor, Reed, but I want to welcome you to the world of sports cards reimagined. The Sports Card Investor app is the hobby's most powerful resource. You can quickly check the value of your favorite cards, you can find great deals, and you can profit from that hobby you love, collecting sports cards. It's available completely free in the Google Play and Apple App stores. The Sports Card Investor app, it's a must-have. Let me tell you about why. Well, first of all, it's completely free. They take no money off the top, nothing like that. You don't have to pay to join it, nothing like that. You can browse over 630,000 cards, not just baseball cards, football, basketball, everything. You can check the latest values of your favorite cards. They've got 7-day or 30-day charts to tell you how the valuation is moving. So if you see a card that's going up for a week, you can jump in and expect it to continue to go up. And maybe in about a month, you can sell that card for twice its worth. You never know, but it's awesome. Like whether you're a casual card collector like me or looking for exciting alternative investment opportunities and you got some money you want to make a little bit of extra money every month, maybe to cover the cost of that rising gas prices, you can go ahead and do that through Sports Card Investor. They've got exactly what you need. Breakout stars, buy them, sell them when they're big time. Old players that you just love to have the cards for nostalgia. Hang on to them for yourselves. Be the owner of something special for you that you can hang on to forever. Personal card stories are awesome. Everyone has them. I remember opening up packs that we get at the grocery store in the checkout line. You see them right over there. You see the bright, shiny packaging. Well, now you don't have to wait for your parents to buy them for you at the grocery store. You can get them yourself on the Sports Card Investor app. So download the app today. It's available for free in the Google Play and Apple App stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked-on. All right, a tough series upcoming for the Philadelphia Phillies as I hit my microphone. I'm so nervous that I'm bumping into stuff because the Phils aren't playing well. The Padres are hot right now, and I know Manny Machado just went down with an injury recently. Still a tough team, and you're going to see some tough pitching. We'll break down that series, but first, one live NBA draft show is not enough for Locked On. The entire NBA channel is going live on NBA Draft Night. That's tonight. Make sure that if you have a favorite NBA team like your Philadelphia 76ers, you subscribe now to their Locked On YouTube channel so you get notified when they go live on NBA Draft Night. Let's take a look at some of the pitching matchups in the Phillies and Padres series. Game 1 later tonight, 9:40, some late West Coast night starts. Ranger Suarez toes the rubber for your Philadelphia Phillies. Joe Musgrove is on the mound for the Padres. Joe Musgrove, not an easy task here. He's 8-0 this year, has not been handed a loss yet, 1.59 ERA, and he's got 81 strikeouts. That's what he's listed as having in on the ESPN app. And he's going to go ahead and get the star. Everything is good there. He's going to be reinstated. I was just making sure because he just came off the COVID injuries list, but he looks like everything will be good to go for him to make the start Thursday. Aaron Nola will face off in Game 2 against, this is a name that just sounds like a guy who's going to dominate the Philadelphia Phillies, Mackenzie Gore. I love that last name. Now, he had a rough start against the Arizona Diamondbacks, even though they still won that one, but 4-3 on the year, a 3.64 ERA, not exactly a terrible pitcher by any stretch of the imagination. He's only 23, so he's a bit young, but the lefty has had a solid season for the San Diego Padres. Another tough matchup for the Phillies in that one. Next, after that, you get Blake Snell, who we know how talented he is. He's a Cy Young level pitcher when he's at his peak. He faces off against Zach Eflin in Game 3. I'll tell you what Blake Snell has done so far this year. Well, he's been rough, 0-4 in the record books, 5.46 ERA, but he has that top level ceiling. And then you round out the series with Yu Darvish facing off against the Philadelphia Phillies' Kyle Gibson. So no Zach Wheeler throwing for you in this series. Yu Darvish has had an all right year. He's 7-3, 3.17 ERA, 66 Ks, 0.96 WHIP. He doesn't let many people on base. He's had a little bit of trouble with the long ball versus the National League. He's given up 6 home runs so far this year. All 6 of his home runs are against the National League. Of course, none in interleague play so far. But I mean, he's another guy. You go through that lineup of pitchers again. Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Mackenzie Gore, and then tonight you're seeing. Let me just go back to the page because it slipped my mind again. Oh yeah, Joe Musgrove is who you're facing tonight, who's probably the ace of this staff so far this year. The Phillies are in a rough spot, and San Diego's been playing really good baseball as of late. They're first in the National League West. They're a 44-win baseball team. A lot of people say they're a top 3 team in baseball right now, and it would be hard to debate that. And you just look through some of their stats offensively. Well, let's just run down what the hitters are doing for the San Diego Padres, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about this team. First of all, on average, well, Manny Machado's not playing, but he was tearing the cover off the ball. Nomar Mazara, though, out there in right field, batting .298. Jorge Alfaro, our old friend, the Bear, is what they used to call him when he was here in Philadelphia, is batting .289. Eric Hosmer, batting .278. 12 home runs for Machado, but the rest of these guys, they really hang. Their big home run guys are Jurickson Profar, Jake Cronenworth, and Luke Voigt. Luke Voigt, of course, was a big hitter for the Yankees during his time in the Big Apple. Those guys batting .255, .250, and .236, respectively, all home run threats. I mean, this is just, it's a solid lineup. It's a great rotation. It's a solid bullpen. The San Diego Padres are a good put-together team. The biggest difference probably is that their best hitters are actually hitting, and their bullpen is more talented than the Philadelphia Phillies. But a rather comparable matchup between two teams, I think, ceiling-wise. The issue is the Padres are playing really well right now. The Phillies, not exactly. So it's a tough task for the Philadelphia Phillies. This 4-game set, they need to win at least 2 of them. They need to split. They cannot lose their second straight series because they're losing game in the wild card, and it's going to be hard for them to make up games to the point where they're in the conversation if they continue to lose series. But you can't also expect them to win a series against the team that's this hot. So we're hoping for the split. And if they win more than that, hey, it's all gravy. But if they split 2-2, I'm very excited about this effort, especially with a divisional matchup with the Atlanta Braves coming up starting next week. I believe that one is at Citizens Bank Park. I believe that's a home series for the Philadelphia Phillies when they take on the Atlanta Braves. That'll be something that we'll have to absolutely keep our eyes on when that comes back around. But before they get to that point, and yes, that is a home series with the Atlanta Braves, you got to get through San Diego. In San Diego, here's hoping that the back end of the Phillies rotation and some of those hitters that we were talking about, JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos, can pick up their game as we get ready to run through a tough stretch of games for the Phillies. Coming up, we're going to round out today's episode with Off the Poll. Had an Off the Poll question. I know we're 2 games in, but I want to see what you predicted for how many games the Phillies would win this week. And I'll tell you my thoughts and what I would have voted for back then. I can't use the advantage of having 2 games going, but I'll tell you exactly what I was thinking on the other side as we wrap up today's Locked On Phillies. All right, as the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. They help you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. That's how I found my first job out of college, was using LinkedIn Jobs. It helped me immensely when I didn't know exactly what I was looking for. And I'm sure the person who hired me, because I like to think I was a solid employee for them, was happy they were able to find someone qualified and excited about the job opportunity. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs, reach over 810 million people. You can add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile so people know that you're hiring. And the simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience for the job you're looking to hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. I don't know if you knew this, but nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn every single week. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job completely for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Fellas out there, you might be ready to pop the question. Maybe you're celebrating a milestone moment. Well, you can find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple, easy-to-use online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, clarity, the setting style, everything you need to build that perfect engagement ring for that special lady in your life. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is absolutely one of a kind. She's going to love that. No one wants a replica ring that she's going to run into someone at the supermarket wearing the same as hers. No, you want it to be as special as she is, and you can get that unique specialness at Blue Nile. And if you're looking for jewelry, just like regular, even fine everyday wear jewelry, well, you might be having trouble choosing this necklace, that bracelet, that ring, these earrings. How do you know? I don't know. But you know who does? Well, the Blue Nile jewelry experts. They're on hand 24/7. They're available via phone or chat, and they can help you find a memorable gift at every budget. They can make anything work, and they want to make things work. They want you to buy your ring from there because they know they do it right. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. So use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So you can shop stress-free and find your forever piece if you just go to BlueNile.com today. All right, it's time for Off the Poll, the segment where we jump in and we review our poll question that I posted earlier in the week. So just to remind you what our Off the Poll question is, and you can find our Off the Poll as always on Twitter. Well, this week it was the Phils have a tough stretch this week with 2 in Texas and 4 in San Diego. How many wins do they get? There are options: 2 or less, 3, 4, or 5 or more. I'll break down how everyone voted. Well, last place was 2 or less. You didn't think that they were going to win 2 games or less, which that may be very possible right now. I'd be happy with 2 out of the 6 this week at this point, considering they lost 2 in Texas. 5 or more, only 10% of people, 10.8 to be exact, said 5 or more wins, which means they would have to sweep one of the series and just lose 1 to the other team. The more likely options, I think, were in the 3 to 4 range. And I'll tell you what, honestly, I probably would have gone where the majority went on this one. I would have gone with 4 games. I would have imagined 1 in Texas, 2 in San Diego. You split both of those series and then find someone somewhere else. Either win 3 against San Diego, win 2. I expected the split and an extra game, either sweeping Texas or taking 3 or 4 from San Diego. That's why I would have voted 4. And the majority of you voted 4. Saying 48.6% saying 4 would be how many games they'd win this week. 3 was the second place option. 35.1% of people said 3 wins was how many the Phillies are going to get this week. And man, both of those options not looking great right now. Well, unless you feel that way still, that means the Phillies would have to win or sweep the series in San Diego against the Padres. That'd be a huge win. That'd be a huge series win if they could win 3 or 4, or if they could even sweep. And hey, heading into the Dodgers series where they almost did that on an earlier West Coast trip, no one would have believed it was possible. So maybe the Phils just play better on the West Coast. But right now, I admitted, I would have picked 4. Right now, I got to say 2 or less is the more likely option, though. It's much more likely the Phils split or lose 3 against the Padres than I think it is they win 3 or 4, obviously 5 or more off the table. But hey, I was right with you who voted 4 when we wrote this poll up. It didn't go their way in Texas, and now it makes this series with San Diego huge, which is why, well, when there's big series, I got to do a fun crossover. Me and Javi Reyes, who is the host of Locked On Padres, will be doing a crossover. I'll be recording it later today. You'll get it a little bit later than that, but we'll post that out for you as well, previewing what is now a huge series between the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres. So that'll be next episode on Locked On Phillies. That's all for this episode, though. As I put my phone up here so I can read this for you, I want to make sure you don't miss the NBA mock draft that we're doing on the Locked On channels. The first picks of the Ultimate NBA mock draft have been made. You can search now for Ultimate NBA mock draft and get over 50 insiders, the Odyssey sports experts, and the draft experts of Locked On NBA Big Board. The 5-episode Ultimate NBA mock draft is already underway, so make Ultimate NBA mock draft your second listen today. Get caught up before the draft goes live tonight so you know everything you need to know ahead of your favorite team's picks. Thanks for rating, reviewing, subscribing. Thanks, obviously, for listening today. Fun crossover coming next. So make sure you're tuned into our next episode. And hopefully the Phils will start winning games again so we can have more fun stuff to talk about. But that's all for today's Locked On Phillies. And I will speak to you in our crossover with Javi Reyes tomorrow.